Hey everyone and welcome to Storytime. My name is Jake and today we are going to be looking at the subreddit r/entitledparents. So let's sit back, relax and enjoy some Reddit stories. Fatherzilla of the Bride. I would like, if I may, to take you on a strange journey. This is a tale of love, betrayal, narcissism, casual racism, and in the end, mind-bending insanity. Several years ago, a friend married his girlfriend. We all decamped to a beautiful part of the UK for the wedding, and all seemed to be fine and dandy until the speech. The father of the bride, ostensibly a pillar of the community, stood up to do his speech, and by God, did he make the most of it. He kicked off by presenting us with the old adage, "Children are the future," as if it was some amazing new concept that he alone had the insight to appreciate. He then immediately dropped that thought to praise his daughter, her stepmother, and especially himself. Much of the time was spent detailing how much money he had spent on the wedding and how much work was involved on his part. Yay him! The best bit was when he drew our attention to the cake, and also to the receipts relating to its cost that he had framed and put on display next to him. After a full hour, no exaggeration, of this bragging and self-praise with no mention of his new son-in-law or his family, he suddenly seemed to remember his initial theme, declared once again that children are the future, like a fat, white Whitney Houston, and announced that he had a treat later for all the kids who were there. He then left the room to applause from his close friends and family, and bemusement from everyone else. Half an hour later, he reappeared, dressed as an Arab sheikh. To top off the look, he had blacked up with boot polish. He called for the attention of all who had not yet become transfixed by the sudden appearance of something out of one of those two Ronnie sketches that don't get included in a compilation show anymore. He then informed us that as children are the future, all adults present should show their appreciation by giving each and every child present £2. There were around 30 kids in the room, so every one of us was apparently expected to give away £60 in loose change that we all had in our pockets to kids that most of us had never met. He then led the kids in a conga of capitalism, dancing around the room like a fat racist Fagin, stopping at every table so money could be extorted. Under the pretext of needing the loo, I decided, screw this for a game of soldiers, and managed to escape to the bar, where the £5 or so I had in my pocket remained safe. Hooray for debit cards. It won't surprise you, dear reader, to learn that the marriage didn't last long, a little under 4 months, and that the whole charade appears to have been a calculated attempt to take my friend for half of everything he owns, with the father apparently having prepared the paperwork for the divorce prior to the wedding. In the end, this ruse failed, and she left with a token payoff of a couple of £1,000s. Here comes the craziest part. Brace yourselves. All that has gone before pales in comparison. Once the divorce was underway, my friend no longer felt bound by the vow he had made not to reveal his in-laws' oddest secret, which he gleefully revealed to me. They genuinely believe themselves to be the earthly form of some kind of pan-dimensional rabbit beings. At weekends, they travel around the countryside in search for their cotton-tailed brethren whom they approach and converse with. They then head home and relay the information gleaned from the field agent bunnies to a pair of small rabbit statues that stand on top of an upright piano and are, presumably, some sort of interdimensional comms device. Needless to say, I thank my friend had a lucky escape. Run rabbit run indeed. What did I just read? That's crazy. Yeah, that family does sound a bit nutty. Crazy lady and her demons in a subshop. This story is throwing it back a bit, but I recently got talking about it and decided to share it with you lot. I used to work at a sub shop, a very famous one. So basically, you select what you want in order and you see the whole sandwich being made. It's a busy afternoon, and we are getting lots of people in and out of the store. Only 3 workers in, including myself, the shift manager. While the other 2 are working on front, I'm in the back getting more food ready as we are getting low, and keeping on top of the dishes. The phone rings, and as I'm in the lead, I answer. Big mistake. This woman just starts shouting her order down the phone, and while I'm trying to explain we do not take orders over the phone, she says we better have them finished by the time she gets there. Obviously, I tell her that is not possible and hang up. 30 or so minutes pass, and the shop has finally cooled down. I'm letting the 2 go to the back to catch their breath, basically meaning go eat something and sit on your phone. I've got this covered. They work their butts off and deserve the break. In walks this bleached blonde thing with obvious work done to her face, followed by 3 kids in a range of ages. She goes over to me and says she placed an order, it should be ready. At this point, I know exactly who this woman is, and inform her that I had already told her on the phone that we do not take orders over the phone. This does not please her, and for the next 5 minutes she's yelling at me, how I'm lazy, can't do my job, and how she's going to get me fired. I'm not worried at all, and I politely tell her to make her order or get out of the store. I can see the other 2 workers edging towards the front, still out of sight. They loved the drama, but she cannot see them. I can't remember the whole dialogue, but she tells her children that I am refusing to give them a sub, and the tantrums begin. This child looked like her and was about 13 to 15. He throws himself towards our crisp stand and begins to throw them all over the place. The youngest of the 3 start to pull other people's food on the floor and stomp on it. Obviously, they weren't happy and go up to the woman telling her to get out or he will call the police. While this is happening, I hear one of the other workers in the back scream. The middle child had managed to sneak past me while I was distracted by the other 2 and started to go through everything in the back around the place, destroying a lot of food. I press the emergency button and inform the woman to get out of the store or else. She is trying to get the orders in the store on her side. No one is biting and they are all telling me to call the police. I loudly exclaim that I have already informed them of the incident. I only press the button so the police don't know the exact happenings of what is happening, but they are en route. Now, if you double click, it means you are in active danger. As these children were destroying a lot of the equipment, I had double pressed. The woman begins to freak and calls her children to stop and says, "Let's go." They stop immediately and she tries to get them out of the door, but one of the men who had gotten his food destroyed stands at the door and informs her he is not moving until the police arrive. He didn't have to wait long. We could all hear the sirens getting closer and closer to the store. She is really freaking out and tries to get to the back door. Through me and the other workers. We don't let her near the back, and now she's trapped. I don't want to go into the whole ordeal of when the police got her, but it was a mess. She began screaming that we attacked her. I pointed the cameras out and offered to show them the whole interaction. They took a copy and took both her and her hellspawn with her. All I remembered is her screaming, "I ordered over the phone," as she was dragged away. My boss laughed at the video, sued her butt for the damages caused, which was around £13,000, and pressed charges. She tried everything to me, agreeing I would do the subs, got shot down as we record calls. I attacked first. The cameras show I didn't touch her once. I was cussing at her when she walked in. Witnesses, cameras with audio which my boss had to get due to another incident, and that they weren't with her. Even her lawyer looked like she had given up when she shouted this all over court. She was found guilty, plus her children were placed into medium security facilities for troubled under 18s, as this was not their first or second time causing damage. P.S. If she had just come in and ordered, none of this would have happened. I would have just made the subs with a smile. People have tried to order over the phone and we tell them they can't, and they go, right, whatever, come in and order. It takes less than 3 minutes to get a sub made and back out the door. We cannot take orders over the phone, as a lot of people did, and we were just wasting food as they didn't come in to pay for it. Large orders or platters or sub parties were different. It had its own number. This was just the general number for opening times and if they had a question about their food or whatnot. Oh, imagine racking up a bill of $13,000 in a Subway. Alright, I assume it's a Subway, but $13,000, that's insane. I don't care if your leg is broken, I want the window seat. The cast: EM, entitled mum, EF, my ex-friend, B, brother, OP, me, and my mum, who is a CNA. This happened close to 5 years ago, so bear with me please. Backstory: back in 7th grade, I went to my ex-friend's birthday party. The party was held at a roller skating rink, and I ended up breaking both my ankle and my leg by falling, to the point where I needed surgery. While my ex-friend first showed her true colors after this incident, that's a story for another time. Today, we talk about how a trip to a famous place for something that sounds similar to the Pace Beetle. If I remember correctly, we went to this place for my birthday. It had been a few months since I broke my leg and ankle, so I was in a walking boot and had crutches, as I still couldn't put a lot of weight on the leg that was broken. I decided to invite my ex-friend. Now, looking back, that was a horrible mistake, and I should never have done that, especially considering after what she'd done when I hurt myself at her party. But I was a 7th grader who didn't have a lot of friends, so... Anyways, on the drive there, all she did was complain. Like, I'm not even kidding. She complained about the heat, about food, we hadn't gone to eat where she wanted us to, and about how terribly boring the car ride was. On the way there, I was in a window seat, and so was she. My brother was in the middle. Now, my brother is super tall, so I can't imagine he was comfortable, but he wanted to make us happy. Another thing about this was that my ex-friend had put all of her stuff in the back seat. Forget about the trunk of the car, she didn't want her stuff to get messy or ruined, or squished, and demanded that she get to have her stuff with her. She can have all her stuff with her, she gets bored, besides, you two have your stuff. Now, know that the only thing that me and my brother had was a book and a pillow each. We had put all of our stuff in the trunk, like we were supposed to. When my mum questioned it, she did the same thing, and because my mum wasn't in the mood for an argument, she let it slide. So my ex-friend put all of her stuff in the backseat of the car and literally squished us just so she could be comfortable. We dealt with it. Eventually, we got to the place we were going for my birthday, and surprisingly, she was very well behaved the entire time we were there. But then it ended. There's always this. As soon as we got back to our car, stuff started to get real. My ex-friend demanded she get a window seat again, and that my brother should sit in the middle. What? I don't want to sit in the middle. It's too uncomfortable. I get car sick. What? You've never gotten car sick before? I do. Why can't brother sit in the middle? This is when my mum stepped in. Because he had to sit in the middle on the way there, and it's only fair that you sit in the middle on the way back. She was speaking very calmly, but my ex-friend wasn't having it. No, it's not. Why can't OP sit in the middle? She didn't have to sit in the middle on the way here. OP can't because she has a broken leg and has to be able to actually have room for the boot and everything so she doesn't get hurt. That's just an excuse. Mom! Her mum came over, looking confused. Tell OP's mum to let me sit in a window seat. They aren't letting me. Entitled mother frowned and looked over to my mum. Just let her sit in the window seat. Brother or OP can sit in the middle again. But that's not fair. My mum cut him off. No, the ex-friend is sitting in the middle. I already told you. Brother sat in the middle on the way here, and OP is still healing from her broken leg. She had had just about enough. Entitled mother looked as if we had just slapped her. What? How dare you? Ex-friend needs a window seat. She gets carsick. She doesn't. Besides, OP doesn't even have an actual cast on anymore. She doesn't need a window seat. She's probably even faking how much pain she's in. Now this ticked my mum off. Excuse me? How dare you? She is very obviously still in pain. Do you even know how much time it takes for 2 broken bones to heal? Then add the time to heal from the surgery. Brother and OP get the window seats. Ex-friend can sit in the middle, or you can catch a train ride home. I was almost crying now because I hated being told I was a liar. Ex-friend started legitimately bawling and screaming about how she needed a window seat. My mum had enough and started throwing their stuff out of the trunk and telling them to catch a train home because they're being so disrespectful. It was at this moment that ex-friend started coughing and making it seem like she was having an asthma attack. She doesn't have asthma. All the while still screaming and crying while putting on this charade. Look what you did! You made ex-friend have an asthma attack! I'm calling the cops for abuse! Yes, she actually said that. And then she actually called the cops. My mum was forced to wait for them because if she didn't, she could be charged with fleeing the scene. An ambulance showed up to deal with ex-friend, and shortly thereafter, cops did too. Entitled mother stormed up to them and started screaming about my mum. Arrest her! She abused my daughter! She hit her with a stick! She was verbally abusive to both me and my daughter. My mum didn't even have a stick in her hand, she had a water bottle. The cop seemed baffled and listened before talking to my mum, who told them what really happened. The cop was almost shaking his head with disbelief at what my mum was saying, while entitled mum was nearly purple in the face with rage, and screaming about how my mum was a liar. As for my ex-friend, well, the paramedics determined that it was not an asthma attack and that she had just made herself sick with all the screaming and crying. So they told her to relax, and once she did, they left. After the cop got our statements, he determined that based on eyewitnesses, none of what entitled mother was saying actually happened. Duh. He let entitled mother off with a warning for disturbing the peace and told my mum that she should just take them home and be done with it. My mum got my ex-friend to sit in the middle. She definitely wasn't happy and reluctantly agreed to take them home. We dropped them off at their house without a word and then drove to ours. It only gets worse from this incident, but those are other stories for other times. Sorry for the anticlimactic ending. Oh no, I really wish that she'd have just left them there and they had to get a train ride home. But I guess it's the best thing to do is to take them home. But still, it would have been amazing if she just left them. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like. And if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching and I will see you very soon.